Hello and welcome to another episode of Boob Tube Buddies, coverage of Sense8. We're on season 2, episode 2. I'm Mike, better known as the Philosopher. With me tonight is Daniela to my Hernando. Kristin, how you doing?
Hi. How are you?
Good. So we're gonna get into it and talk this new episode. Really, the first episode of the new season. Before we do
That's a pain in my ass that they're calling it the second episode.
It really is. So before we get into it, just a couple things. One, you can find us at boobtubebuddies.com, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Reddit, all the social medias. Mm-hmm. We also have sponsors, Blue Apron and Audible. We'd love for you to support them. We do have the Patreon account now if you want to, contribute to the show. But if you're not into that, you can always just go to iTunes, rate us on iTunes. It's super helpful. Get the name out there, word of mouth. Subscribe. Yes, thank you.
I hear that's a big one too.
Yeah, and we've been getting a lot of reviews this week for whatever reason, so that's a good thing.
But they're so awesome.
I think that's all the housekeeping.
Yeah. I don't have anything else. Except for I want to apologize for my glasses. I know they're off kilter, and it's just to throw you off through this whole thing.
Oh, that's all right. And we are covering, just for currently the shows we have going on. We have our Best of April show coming up. Adam and I just did Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
I hear that was awesome.
The podcast?
Yeah, the podcast reviewing it. Can't hear enough good things about that.
We got Better Call Saul, American Gods, Fargo, and tons of content for you guys. So get out there, check it out, and support the show.
Darn tootin'.
All right, so housekeeping done.
Yes.
You want to just jump right into a little thing we call summing it up in a tweet?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Oh yeah, we're summing it up, so summing it up. Summing it up, oh yeah, we're summing it up. Oh yeah, we're summing it up, so summing it up. Summing it up and up.
Tweet.
You first.
Okay, so I just threw this one together. I hadn't planned on doing it, so sorry. And I don't even know it's on 40 characters, but the gang's all back. Will's still on the smack, but they're taking action against Whispers, aka Matheson. That's
Good job! Yay! Okay, mine wasn't just thrown together, so this is gonna be a crash and burn. I know it. Sometimes this show feels like Mr. Megorium's Wonder Emporium, but really it's just a bunch of Homo sensoriums.
Awesome. That's really good. That's really good. And that is summing it up in a tweet. All right, so we're back. Not that we were gone for long, but
who am I?
Yeah, so that is the name of the episode. Who am I? Yeah, if you weren't aware. Awesome segue. So just what were your impressions of the episode overall?
I loved it. I really thought that, although I really liked the first half, I felt like, are we still going to get all these like heartwarming, cool scenes with both of them, but still no action? And then at the end, you were like, okay, next episode.
Yeah. I did like it. I think I was pretty proud because it addressed some of the things we talked about in our first thing.
Yes.
Yeah, especially like, what are they going to do with Will and all that, and resolving some of these things. So they definitely touched on that, which was awesome. So I liked the direction it was headed.
Yeah, it wasn't like a super lot of action, but definitely a lot of thrill, I think, and I liked that.
Yeah, they did a little rushing, where they tried to, I think, jam everybody's story in there to a little bit. The only person who really didn't get a lot of attention was Sun. So they tried to jam everything in there and like catch you up. So
yeah, and really it's probably better just to spend an episode on like 3 specific people than trying to rush through 8 people every episode. I thought that too as well.
Yeah, and I will say, well, we'll talk about it later. So as we get into it, but it opens with Will kind of spying in on, and was it an early Matheson or early Whispers?
Yes.
So it was predated. So
yeah.
It was a little hazy on that. And he's doing like the initial neural graph where we see how he's able to manipulate other sensates to do like vicious killing. And this one, it slices the guy's throat.
It's definitely the moment where you see a lot of eerie stuff from Whispers, and you know that he's not a good guy, but this really hit the nail on the head to mark him as a villain.
Yeah, like when he's doing it, he's got that crazy look in his
Yeah,
eyes.
exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like it's and even the guy with the tux on, he's like, all right, that's enough.
Yeah, chill out.
That'll
man.
do, pig.
Yeah. And we see that he's still hiding out with Riley.
Yeah, and he's still trying to. I mean, because he's really got to keep his shit together.
He looks rough.
He does not look like Will Gorski, the Chicago cop we first met.
And one thing I'll notice that bugs me a little bit is he goes from like he's got that scraggly little beard. And then he seems to shave it. Like this happened at the end of the last season. Like he shaves it, then he grows it back out, then he shaves it, and he grows it back out.
Yeah, but it's only like he only has it grown out for like the real tumultuous times.
Yeah.
It's like
I gotta look tortured, grow the beard out just a little
exactly.
bit.
It's the only way to look tortured.
Just hoping he lands on a facial hair he likes.
Exactly, but I do love that Whispers has been kind of they think that they're onto him, and Whispers kind of says, you know, I'm tricking you, and I just love that about the entire episode, going back and forth, not knowing exactly what was going on, who knows what.
Yeah, so at the end of season 1, before the special,
Yes, exactly. That's
Will,
what we call it.
Right, he gets, he sees Will's eyes and he's able to follow him now. But this is actually the first episode where we see them have like a face-off.
Yes.
So that was like an awesome scene where they're in that, what was it, interrogation room?
Yes.
Yeah, and he's like, no, this isn't actually, he pulls the socket off the wall and it's like, nothing here is actually real.
But the whole time you're like, oh my God, Will, you're on it. You're seeing his boots. You're seeing all these details. You've got him. And he's like, no, it's not real. And it was definitely a roller coaster of emotions, and I loved it.
Yeah, and I think for the episode, one of the things, like jumping from the Will thing, because I don't want to get too far ahead in that storyline, but they jump right into the Leto and Capheus, where Leto's at his premiere. He's finally out in public with Hernando. And at the same time, he's being interviewed as he walks into the premiere. At the same time, Capheus is being interviewed by the reporter.
Zakia.
Zakia.
And she's kind of getting on top of him about, the violence of Van Damme and the racial politics that go along with it. And it's just a very parallel conversation that turns into a very Sense8.
Right. It's both like these attack interviews they're both having to like just ninja attacks, like we're gonna get you. And then they talk about labels, and then you watch Family Guy?
Yes.
There's an episode where he gets super excited every time he goes to see a movie and they say the title.
Yeah.
And they do it here. Like Leto's like, who am I? And I'm like, he said it. And like I just automatically see.
You remember that, you're right. That's amazing.
So I always see Peter Griffin. Like I get really excited when they say the title of stuff.
It was definitely a very Sense8 type of scene where you feel like they have that, I want to call it kind of 90s music in the background. Like, I feel like there was this movie with Claire Danes where she was like stuck in a prison when she was younger. I can't remember what it was called.
Broke Down
Palace,
yeah.
Yes. Broken Down Palace or something like that. And it's that kind of music they play in the background. Well, they have this whole montage of the Sense8s.
Yeah.
But that look on Leto's face when he realizes he's in Nairobi, I'm like, oh, I love you, Leto. You just look so happy. He's like, all right, here's my scene.
Leto's the best.
He really is.
I can't not like the guy. I don't know what it is.
So much.
Yeah, and like we talked about the dynamic with the three of them, and I'm just like, that is undoubtedly my favorite part of the show, and it's just reinforced in this episode.
I really like the whole Capheus Leto crossover.
Yeah, and so we also introduced the Zakia character, which there's obvious chemistry there.
She looked a lot older when she was interviewing him
She
versus
did
when
look a
she
lot older. Yeah, she had the hair pulled back.
Is that Zakia's daughter?
Yeah, and I thought when she first popped up, I was like, well, maybe is this the sister? Because I always figured they're going to tie his adopted sister.
Oh yeah.
That they adopted out somehow. But
probably.
It would be
Stay
really
tuned.
weird if they do it now.
Yeah. It would actually. That would be very weird.
No spoilers, but they do go out on a date during the thing, so it's like, that would be strange to find out.
Yeah, that would be real. Well, it's no spoilers if we're talking about the same episode. Here, what you have to know is Mike has seen the entire season 2 3 times.
Yes.
And I've seen the first 2 episodes, the first one a couple times.
Yeah.
So if he spoils tonight, he spoils for all of us.
I have very careful notes to keep it to the source material. But we jump from Leto and Capheus and we go to Wolfgang and Felix. So this is actually, we weren't sure about Felix at the end of the special because he was on the ground, what Wolfgang's situation, but they're out partying. Oh
yeah, they're living the high life, still trying to get bought out by it's like this whole turf war. and everybody's trying to buy him roses and nice stuff, and I mean,
they're living the life. Like
they're living the absolute life.
I want to go to Berlin.
He's like, yeah, I'm not gonna make a decision yet. I'm still mulling on it.
Yeah.
More champagne, please.
And Felix, like, for somebody who just got out of the hospital, Felix is he's such a having a good time. Yeah.
I mean, what's to be sad about really right now?
But
for
it does
him?
introduce another one of those Berlin gang bosses,
Sebastian Fuchs.
Fuchs.
Yeah, it's such a strong last name.
In America, it's Sebastian Fuchs.
Fuchs, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And he's the king of the North, which
Don't you love when they're like the king of the North, and they even say it like
yeah,
it's Game of Thrones.
It would be funny. Yeah, I would love for like Jon Snow just to walk through the background. Well, I know he's got a real name, but
that would be amazing.
yeah, just as like a little nod.
Oh, that would have been so good.
And then
Missed opportunity.
yeah, and it's really just they're touching base. The guy wants to give Felix his club
He just offers him up the
out
club.
of the blue. Yeah,
But he has a natural reaction to it, like, what the actual fuck?
yeah.
I mean, it was smart because... But I don't like that you don't really see a lot of, me, I don't like that you don't see really Wolfgang and Kala in this.
No, right. It's not in this episode hardly at all, if at all.
yeah.
I mean, there's a parallel where she's showing her family the new house
That's the only way they show them
while
together.
he's at the club, right? But there's no.
What's so funny is reading back on some people's opinions about this episode, a lot of people were like, I didn't realize, I thought maybe I was one of the only people who like are more Kala and Wolfgang than Riley and Will. And no, I was right there with them. I'm a basic bitch just like all of them. And everybody loves Wolfgang and Kala. And I happen to agree. But she's still with Raja.
Yeah.
Is that?
Rajan? You're close.
Okay.
Close enough.
Call him Raj.
Raj.
Yeah, she's still good with good old Raj. And her dad is going into politics?
His dad.
His dad.
Yeah, his dad
Did
is.
I say your dad?
No, you said her dad.
Oh, I said your father is going into politics, yes.
God, I hope not. But yeah, so he's decided to go into politics. There's like a little family argument at the dinner
Why
table.
is that such a big deal?
I don't know if it's just like an exposure thing or because his stance is
That's probably it.
it's anti-religion and they're a religious
yeah,
family.
no, you're probably absolutely. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
So good call. But just like Kala, Soon is still going through kind of a life where a lot of the others are experiencing new things or trying to get through new things, and they're just kind of in a stalemate where they're both kind of trapped by their lives. That's what I actually like about. They have 8 people, but they've broken them down in different ways. You've got Soon and Leto, and even Wolfgang going kind of through their own personal battles, but then you have Will and Nomi and all them who are actually fighting the bigger battle for the actual cluster.
Right, yeah. And I was actually thinking about this where I'm trying to put them, and I know this is like opposite of what you're supposed to do with this show, but I'm trying to put them in their roles. And it's actually hard to do, but yeah, that's pretty good. Like there's the people who are kind of leading the fight, and then there's the people who are trying to figure out a way to get into the fight, I think.
Exactly. Exactly. I do like that they made Nomi a hacker. It's very, they definitely execute it very, I want to say like CSI cheesy, where it's like, I got him. All right, they have some computer program where it can be like, he's got kids, he graduated from Yale, he did this. All right, I've got 3 people.
Yeah, right.
I was like, what?
So what's bothered me, and this is in part because I've seen the show so much already, but you had mentioned how the Nomi bits are a little uncompelling.
Yes.
And it's really bugging me
Is
now.
it starting to?
Yeah, like I see him, and it's not so much that the moment is uncompelling. It's just that
she could do so much more with it.
she's very flat.
Very flat.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is. Like she has I feel like we're talking in more passion than she is when she's hacking a system and somebody might give her a lobotomy.
Right, and even like the lines she's given, like I went back and I've listened to them a couple times. I'm like, I don't know. Like you could say it with more emotion, I'm sure. And I don't know if it's an acting thing, but the lines aren't very strong either. And I'm like, the writing for her isn't terribly great. And it's surprising to me.
And it's not helpful for her.
No.
So they don't help each other out. And it doesn't, I don't know. I feel like that character could be such a strong, cool character. Like I'm more like hypnotized by her girlfriend.
Yeah.
And her acting.
Amanita.
Yeah. And you know what? I'll go with the same flow as you're saying right now. And I can't fucking stand Bugs now. So thank you for that.
Yeah, I don't know. He's a little silly.
At first I was like, oh, what a kooky little character. And now I'm like, shut the fuck up, Bugs.
Yeah. And that actually is like one of the things. Oh, no, I don't want to get ahead of it. So
You're
gotta
like,
guard against it. Gotta guard against it.
it's hard, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's why I don't. Maybe I should just watch it all so we can just spoil the hell out of it, and it'll be a breakdown of episodes, but you've already seen the series
Yeah.
type of approach to it.
But I mean, going back to Nomi and Amanita, they are doing some background research, and it's
They're pretend students.
yeah, they go to the University of Chicago and talk to this guy Kalovi, who we actually find out was a
He's
teacher.
sketchy.
Was a teacher from Matheson. Yeah, so there's a connection there, and he knows something about the homosensorium term that they start using quite a bit.
That's an X-Man thing, right?
Homosensorium?
No, not like the homosensorium, but their whole approach to this right now. Like, it's a genetic thing.
Oh yeah, right. There's definitely similarities there.
Okay.
Yeah, like the mutant X gene or whatever.
That's
it
what I
is.
was going to say. Like, I knew, well, they had to steal from something. They're not going to come up with something completely original.
Nothing.
It's going to
Right. That's the what is it?
That's why you don't see romantic comedies anymore.
There's nothing original
They're like,
anymore.
we give up.
Yeah. But so they're looking into it. There's a couple of interesting things. One is that the guy who's obviously knowledgeable, he's a professor, he attributes Homo sapien empathy to the sensorium gene, which is interesting because you empathize so much with these characters, and it's a big part of, being more open to other people and other things and stuff like that, which is a major theme in the show.
Which actually, okay, so it's hard to, don't spoil it for me, but to me, when I was watching the first episode, I'm like, there's something shady with this guy. He couldn't get out of this room fast enough. And the fact that he pointed out the whole thing about the empathy, and then towards the end of the episode, you hear whispers say, you guys have all experienced the pleasure. Now we want you to experience the pain. I feel like there's some tie together with that. And you already know that there already some tie. And you're just nodding your head vigorously because you're like, I can neither confirm nor deny.
Well, no, I'm just agreeing with what you say and trying really hard not to say the word yeah, because like I listened to the first podcast and like by like the halfway point, I like was saying yeah so much. I'm like, God damn it, I gotta stop saying yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. So yeah, it's just like
Yeah.
an automatic response. It's not so bad in person, but when you're listening to it on the podcast, I apologize.
Trust me, the first time I listened to myself, I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
please stop.
I know.
Just stop.
And I hear myself, like I was on another podcast the other day, just as a call-in, and I'm like, that sounds like me. But on the podcast.
Why can't that guy show up to the podcast?
But it was like early in the morning, and I'd been drinking a lot the night before, so my voice was like really deep, and it was like I was like, oh, that's sexy, Mike.
I'm gonna go back and listen. You'll be like, yeah, I'm still drunk. What's up?
Yeah, this is like glandular, Mike.
I love it. All right, so where are we at here with? Oh, well, can we continue? So the homosensorium it's just a type of human species that can.
Yeah, and it's not new. So like it goes back quite a bit. We learned that that's a historical thing that was a competitor with Homo sapien, I guess. Although maybe the sensorium isn't a competitor, but Homo sapien is.
It was almost like it's always one on here that I can't think of the word, but it almost it was the survival of the fittest. It got absorbed by Homo sapiens.
Right, and he gives a great example. And I don't know if did you watch Westworld?
Yes.
And he talks about Dr. Ford talks about how Homo sapien ate Neanderthal.
Yeah.
Like we ate them, we devoured
Yes.
them. And this doctor actually talks about that same thing. Like Homo sapien is,
And we came along.
Right. It's this historical genocide, basically, is how he puts it, which was an interesting way to looking at it.
It's true though.
Yeah, right. When you really get down to it, I mean that's what it is. We just dominate other species until they're
History
gone.
repeats itself. What can I say?
Yeah. And there's not too much more Dr. Kalofi. He runs off, and they go back to doing their thing, and we have to see Nomi in that hideous skirt. It was not a good look. The rust-colored shirt and the jeans. And
I didn't think I could be able to talk to you about this, but I forgot who my.
Yeah, right. We can always talk fashion.
forgot.
But jumping back to it, like
How about her outfit during the Who Am I speech?
Right, that's what I was going to say. They're like,
the birthday suit they put on her?
Right, they jump between them, and then you just see her naked. I'm like...
What was the point of that?
I don't know. I was like, so she's in the shower, apparently. Or no, she was just laying there with Amanita.
Maybe it's just so because she's trans, like, this is who I am now.
Yeah, and like, hey, you're hot.
Yeah.
I mean...
Go you.
Yeah, don't cover it up in jeans, short
I've seen worse
skirts.
boobs.
Right. I mean, it's so, and then she's just laying there with Amanita, who's naked too.
As well.
And I know the show has never shied away from that sort of thing, but
Sometimes it feels misplaced.
Yeah, and that was definitely one time.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
when it first popped up there, I'm like, wait, did I just see that? Like,
yeah.
rewind. I was like, oh yeah. I was like, that's odd.
See, that whole scene was a roller coaster of emotions as well for me because it started and you had that shit-eating grin from Leto, realizing he was now all of a sudden in the middle of this, like, yay, and that got me real happy. And then all of a sudden the Broke Down Palace music started and the montage started, and then all of a sudden Nomi and Amanita are fucking naked for no reason, and I'm like, what's happening? I feel like this was the when they were in the why can't I think of anything today? When they were in the I want to say musical, it's not the musical.
In the auditorium.
The auditorium. Thank you, Jesus. And
well, I would have gotten it without you said. You said auto, and then you gave up.
Oh, did I? Oh, okay. My brain gave up. So when they were doing that in the first season, you started like, oh my God, this is beautiful. And then you see a baby's head come out of somebody's vagina. It's like all of a sudden you just get comfortable in this beautiful moment. They like to turn you on your heels.
Yeah. It just, I mean, at least with the other ones, it seemed to serve a purpose. So like even with the babies being born or the orgies and stuff, it served a purpose to the thing. This just seemed to be thrown in there.
Blatant.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, I guess this is our boobs for the show. Yeah. Like, and, you know,
right,
like we got people watch.
They have like a tally they need to do.
Right.
And it wasn't appropriate at Sarah's mom's house, so.
Right, no, you couldn't do it there.
So
we're just going to get comfortable for a little while. How
about we throw something else in there?
What?
A Blue Apron ad and some Two Truths and One Big Little Lie.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's a perfect time for it. So we'll do the Two Truths first, and then we'll throw it to the Blue Apron.
Sounds good.
Let's play a game called
Two Truths and One Big
Little Lie.
Yep.
Let's do this.
Go ahead.
All right. Two Truths, One Big Little Lie. I don't know if I did this right, and I would completely blame that on myself because I said we would do Jonas and Whispers, and I did Naveen Andrews, the guy who plays Jonas.
That's fine. I did the
actual Whispers.
No, I did Terrence Mann, who plays Whispers.
Okay, good. I was like driving here on the way, and I'm like, is this going to be about Whispers? And mine's going to be about Naveen Andrews. Okay, so without further ado, Jonas Naveen Andrews. Truth 1. Naveen Andrews married his high school math teacher. Truth 2. Although he is well known for Lost and a main character on Sense8, Naveen Andrews also stars in Once Upon a Time. Truth 3. Truth 2. Truth 3. Naveen Andrews has had a famous on-again, off-again relationship with Barbara Hershey.
Okay. I never watched Lost, but I've heard he was on there. What was the other show? Once Upon a Time? Mm-hmm. That sounds about right, because somebody else on the show is on Once Upon a Time, and it might be Terrence Mann. So, married his high school math teacher? Or Barbara Hershey? I'm going to go with C, is the lie.
Barbara Hershey?
Yeah.
You're wrong, my friend. He was on Once Upon a Time in Wonderland.
Oh, wait, hold on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll take my loss.
Know your fairy tale shows, man.
Yeah.
Know your fairy tale shows.
If it's not on the CW, I'm not going to know it. All right, so like I said, I did mine for Terrence Mann. Terrence Mann actually better known for Broadway, so these are going to be Broadway questions.
Okay. Oh, okay, well, we're done. I'm done.
Truth 1. His breakout role on Broadway came playing Rum Rum Tugger in Cats. I had no idea. Truth 2. He would win his first Tony Award for playing this same role.
Okay.
Truth 3. He would later win a Tony for playing Javert in Les Mis.
Okay. Truth 2.
Truth 2. He would win his first Tony Award for this same role. You're saying that's a lie? Mm-hmm. I hate you.
Yes!
Yeah, that was it. He actually won his first Tony Award for Javert.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Sweet.
I do find it really funny, though, that the guy played a character named Rum Rum Tugger and a character named Whispers, and the character named Whispers is not the cat character.
It's so true.
Yeah. And that
amazing.
was 2 Truths and 1 Little Lie, and enjoy this Blue Apron catch.
And one big
Little lie.
They always say the way to a man's heart is through his stomach. And that is why this Boob Tube Betty is such a Blue Apron buddy. Without the helping hand of my dear friend Blue Apron, I would never be able to prepare these incredible meals from scratch. Go to www.blueapron.com/BTB and sign up for $30 off your very first order. For many months now, I have impressed, Blue Apron has impressed all of my gentlemen suitors. Listen, they don't need to know that Blue Apron did all the heavy lifting. Again, don't forget to visit www.blueapron.com/BTB to save a little money as well as time. Thanks, little buddies.
All right, welcome back. Definitely get out there, check out Blue Apron. I think most of the Boob Tube Buddies have tried it. It's pretty awesome.
I had my chicken tandoori tonight.
There you go.
I did.
So where did you want to jump to?
Okay, so Capheus, so Zakaya, shockingly, the same Zakaya.
The interviewer.
Yes, definitely looks different professionally and off the clock. She kind of pretty much goes out there and asks him out on a date, and Jello being the best friend he is, accepts for him.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
Vigorously right away. Absolutely, yes. Great wingman. And they go on a date, and it pretty much is a meeting, and when they talk, she says, she really likes his outlook and that, she has a more cynical view on life. And it really just, again, shows Capheus' optimism.
Yeah, it was a good give and take. And she's definitely more refined, I guess, than he is. So you definitely see that she's more urbanized, I guess is a better way of saying it. And so it's kind of these two different worlds coming together, which is an interesting dynamic for the show.
I like it. I wish his optimism, I could Sense8 into his optimism for the actor.
Yeah.
Because to me, I know you don't feel the same way, but there's something so likable about the first character, the guy who played the first time around.
I loved.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay. And there's just something that.
It would be nice. It's like, for me, I'm super cynical and skeptical all the time. So it would be nice to be able to just jump into somebody who sees the world like that. Optimistically. And speaking of optimism, there's another, I don't know if it's going to be a theme for the show, but there's a scene with Wolfgang and son at the zoo, where you actually see Wolfgang as a child, and he's talking to his mom and talking about, what do you think would happen if the tiger escaped? He's like, oh, we'd go live in the forest and hunt rabbits. And she's like, oh, you're an optimist. And he's like, what's that? It's like something most people grow out of.
It's true though.
Right.
I used to be the world's biggest optimist. And probably over the course of the last 10 years, that's just killed my spirit.
Yeah.
But it's been become a manager for 10 years.
Oh, work just grinds you down.
It'll just kill your spirit.
But at least you got, you have family and kids and all
Yeah,
that.
no, I still have the sunny optimism. It's just killed a lot more quickly this time around. But okay, so like we said, we didn't see a lot of certain characters such as Kala, but the one thing I did like about seeing Kala was the use of her pharmaceutical knowledge in this whole thing, and it really tied in with being able to actually catch whispers.
Right.
But first and foremost, one of the cool things we find out is not only is he tricking them when it comes to them hunting whispers, but they're doing the same back. Do you think Will knew that Riley was doing that, or do you think maybe?
No, I think he knows. You
did think he knew? I didn't know if maybe to protect him even further and protect.
Yeah, no, I think they're just playing him.
Okay.
And I wonder, part of me is it's that somebody's 2 moves ahead of somebody else idea.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder how much they actually knew about London. I mean, because he's already looking in on his life, and he sees, he was able to put it together. So, yeah, I'm positive he knows they're in Amsterdam.
That stuff looked really gross. That skier.
Right. I wanted to look it up, and I keep forgetting to look it up.
It was a yogurt.
Is that what it is?
It's a yogurt.
Oh, I thought maybe it was fluff. And I'm like,
See, I love that you said that because that was my first thought. I'm like, is that like a marshmallow fluff?
yeah, right. I mean, that's and as soon as he said, I was like, you putting something from Iceland in your mouth that's white and creamy. I was like, I can't imagine that's going to be very good.
No.
Just judging on what I know of their
it
cuisine.
looked like mayonnaise.
Right. and so good. No, I'm glad to know that if it's just yogurt.
It's just yogurt.
Right.
I had to look it up because I'm like, I'm hoping it's fluff. It looks like mayonnaise. I need to know what it is.
I have a friend who's going to Iceland next week for 8 days.
Are you getting us a bottle of skier?
No, she's not that kind of a friend. Like, she's like, I say friend, she's like somebody I know from work. She's like 70 years
She's
old.
not that kind of a friend.
Right, no, she's
What
like,
kind of a friend is she?
she's like 70 years old, and she's
Oh, never mind.
right. she lives by herself, and she does stuff for the company I work for.
So she's not gonna hook us up with a bottle of skier.
Probably not. She's taken like her grandson with her.
Gotcha.
And but we talk all the time. I'm like, oh, I'm kind of jealous. It's like, because I watched this show.
That's really cool.
I didn't really want to recommend it to her though.
Yeah, no, that's an awkward show to recommend. Sometimes when I just found out my father-in-law watches it, and I'm like, cool. And he's like, I hear you have a podcast. I'm like, please God, no.
Yeah. Like, Mary Jane, go check out this show and tell me what you think of the orgy scenes.
Exactly.
I really want to talk with you about them.
Exactly.
Nothing awkward.
I like to choose who I talk to about the show with.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to go sit down with my dad and watch it.
But going back to Riley, so she runs into her dad, who I just dig that guy. Like, he's sitting there playing the ukulele, smoking a giant joint.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
I'm like, and
It's like, this is how we do it. This is how
Right.
thieves do it, right? And she's like, you're not supposed to look like that.
I want to go to Amsterdam so bad.
So bad.
Yeah. It's just so.
And now I do even more if that's what it looks like.
Yeah. I mean, I've looked into going. I mean, it's one of my dream trips, and I've looked into it. Not for that reason.
I've looked into it for that reason.
Yeah. I've never have. But I'm not saying anything.
Like, I'm not saying it when in Amsterdam.
What happens in Amsterdam? Yeah. But
He plays Teenage Wasteland again.
he plays Teenage Wasteland again. So I was just happy to see him. Like, I like those little nods back to the other characters. They do need to be careful, though, with all these auxiliary characters, I think. Mm-hmm. Like, you can get bogged down in that sort of thing. And so that's something...
You already have 8 main characters.
Right. And really, Hernando and Daniela are kind of main characters. Mm-hmm. And so I know Amanita and
Felix.
Bug, Felix. So it's a lot to handle.
It is, but I think every single character has at least 1 or 2 branch offs,
Right. So
extensions of their character.
Right, and it's going to be a handful. I mean, and this
I
is
watched
nothing.
this episode. I'm like, I'm gonna have to watch these like 5 times before I can talk about it.
Yeah, and it's nothing about it's kind of a side worry I had in season 1, but they seem to manage it all right. So hopefully they'll do it again. Mm-hmm. But I was actually thinking that there's a bunch of these characters we won't ever see again, and now they added Zakiya, and the father was still there, and I don't know if he's going to have a role moving forward. But yeah, it was not worrisome, but I'm curious how they're going to handle that.
Well, that's a piece of housekeeping for me to, once I catch up, I want to discuss that again.
Yeah, we'll definitely come back to it all.
All right, good. So Riley meets her dad because he's got, quote, the stuff that cannot be exported from Iceland specifically, so that they can trick him into thinking that they're in it. Even Whisper says to him, the Seagulls are practically speaking Icelandic, and it was a recording. And what else? There was, like biscuits and...
Well, they knew the farm. Like, they knew the farm where he was
sisters.
getting the stuff from, and the biscuits she gets from her dad. So they're making a big effort.
And he flips as soon as, like, he starts saying, like, we can practically hear the Seagulls or whatever, and where are you? The same favorite place as your mother, a church. And that's when he wants to be taken out kind of again. Even though he's still, I guess, he knows.
Right, but I mean, that panic sells it. So, that goes back to your earlier question, how much do they know what's going on? And he sells it really hard.
That's why I'm wondering, did he know? Because if he didn't know, technically, then that's how you could sell it even further. Because she's keeping him in a certain place. Right,
and he's been under for so long. So I see it. I just didn't get that impression is all.
I don't know, but you know more than I do. So.
No, that has nothing to do, like, even when, like I said, I can keep it separate, especially on this thing. It never crossed my mind that she had him drugged up till just now. So there's a chance that he was not aware.
Yeah, I was just thinking maybe for reasons of, genuine surprise or something like that. But speaking of good acting, I think he's a great actor.
Jacob Smith?
Yeah.
I was really impressed with him in this episode.
Yeah, I think he's really good. I was very all the way from Gossip Girl.
Yeah, and we were talking about Tuppence Middleton being English, Middleton.
Yeah, her accent.
Right, I saw an interview with her the other day, and it's so far away from these
really?
Icelandic. Like, she sounds more like Lady Mary from Downton Abbey.
Are you
like
serious?
She's got a really proper English accent.
Really?
Right, and I'm
she's
like,
so good.
Yeah, I was like, that's amazing to me.
I will commend somebody and bring rains down on them if they suck or are good at accents. We know this.
Yeah, and going back to Will and Jacob Smith.
Brian Jacob Smith.
There's another scene that's super important, I think, where they all are converging on this house in Chicago, where it's Nomi and Amanita are going to the house. But as they're going there, you see Jonas heading there. You see another guy who's unidentified going there. Whispers going there with Sarah.
Yes.
And then young Will is there riding by on his bike, and they go inside, and it's Sarah's mom. And he's really good in that scene because there's a lot of emotion in that for him too.
It's awesome. It's so good. So we finally get the whole lowdown about Sarah.
Right.
And because you hear about her all through season 1, and we come to find out Sarah was a girl who died when she was 7 or 8. That's
young,
she
yeah.
Yeah. And Dr. Matheson was actually her tutor. He was a great guy.
Right. Yeah.
The way that made my skin crawl.
It did.
It looked very serial killery, like.
It looked pedophile-y.
Yes, I felt like I was watching Stir of Echoes with Kevin Bacon. That's like a very early '90s movie. You ever seen it?
No.
Oh, get on it.
No.
It's so good.
But she also she identified him in pictures, Matheson. That's how she knew him, and then she also identified Angelica, who'd been to the house, and we kind of find out that Angelica has played a role.
Is she a sense? Is she part of a cluster? Is she a Homo sensorium? This Sarah?
I think she's too young. Like they don't get birthed.
But they're not like Joel Haley Osment in The Sixth Sense.
I mean, I'm assuming they have something. Like Will was seeing her when she wasn't there, so I'm assuming there's something going on. Like
maybe it's because Matheson specifically killed, and that's a memory of his, so they're able to see her.
It might be, but like the history with Will and his dad goes back to him seeing that girl when he was a kid. And even the lady, the mother, is talking about how when he was a boy, he was there. So they're born Homo sensorium. So I'm just guessing there's some latent ability in there.
Yeah.
And so...
But it's not like they I see dead people. So it's just like, why her specifically?
Right.
I wonder if it's because Matheson killed her.
Yeah, and that they're both in the same city together.
Yeah.
Like they grew up in the same city. Like maybe there's a remote connection because they grew up close to one another.
That's true.
But they don't really tell you.
Her mom seems so nice.
Really accepting.
Really accepting. Like having all these people come to your house. I see your daughter.
It's a little sad because it makes me think like she's. If we saw that today, if somebody just walked up and said to somebody like, "Oh, I see your daughter."
I'd be like, I call bullshit.
Right. It's like I'm not. But if you accepted it, like if you knew the person who was accepting of this little boy who says they're seeing the memory of my daughter, I'm going, you're fucking crazy.
Yeah. No. See, I would be like, well, see, when the dad was looking at him when he was a little boy and he was telling her about seeing Sarah, I was like, I mean, any kid could walk in and be like, I saw your kid. And that would make me livid, but I would probably actually be the mom.
Yeah.
Who's like, you do?
Right. I mean, I know you don't want to go, and it was apparently fresh, the disappearance of the girl, but
yeah,
I still think most people are like the dad.
Yeah.
Get
absolutely.
the fuck out of my house.
Absolutely. You're fucking insane. So let's talk about the big finish.
Big finish.
Huge finish. Loved it so much.
Yeah. So Will taps back into Whispers. Mm-hmm.
At the perfect timing.
Right.
Even Riley, when he's going through his stuff, she's like, this is it. This is the time. And that's when it wakes up Kala to get in and save the day with the pharmaceuticals. And all of a sudden he's in this office building.
Right. This is apparently the uppity ups of BPO. Mm-hmm. The evil organization, the empire.
He doesn't seem to understand why he's freaking out, even though he knows what's going
But
on.
Will comes in and says, he says it right to Whispers. He's like, don't mind me. And then they start feeding all that information to Nomi, like you said before.
Yep, they literally took a lot of the wind out of his sails by naming him Milton.
Right.
Like, first he was Matheson and Whispers, and he's like, don't mind me, Milton.
And the guy...
I was like, oh, that's like pulling down his pants.
Right, and so like you say, they find paperwork on the desktop, the guy's Yale ring, and they're able to identify him because Nomi is one of the greatest hacking minds in the world.
But I want to know the program that they're using that where you just put kids, Yale, business suit, London.
Well, do you notice too that Amanita is like in on the computer stuff now?
But she's not a hacker.
All of a sudden, she's very
She's
very
like, got
good.
it.
Yeah, she's a fast learner apparently.
Yeah.
But they are able to identify the guy as Richard William Kroom. And that's about it for him. But Whispers is like, I've been compromised.
But I don't understand why Kroom doesn't like understand, like, is there somebody around you? Like, I know what happens at BPO as a big wig, so...
Oh, yeah, and he calls Whispers Gibbons.
Yeah.
Yeah, so how many names does this guy have? Like,
I had no idea.
Starting to get confused.
Good point. I forgot about that completely, but you're so right.
So Milton, was it more? Matheson, Whispers, and Gibbons. It sounds
Just
like
one
a
of those long
70s
names.
folk group.
Just one of those long names.
Yeah, an attorney's office.
Exactly.
But then we get the big confrontation between Will and him, where Will gets the better half of it for the first time. And the line, I wrote it down because I think the line's great.
I want you to end with it.
He's
Do
like, you think you're hunting us. We're coming for you.
Oh,
Fade to black.
it was so awesome.
I was like, yes!
Yes!
Super pumped.
That's where you were like, okay, next episode. Thank God you can binge watch this.
Yeah. It was a really good ending to the
Yes.
first episode.
It was
And
very good.
like I said, I was proud of us because this is something we talked about, and they take a huge step forward in the progression of this fight. So Will is up off the mat and swinging back.
Yep. And I'm not going to lie, I'm really excited to talk about the next episode when we do. So,
Yeah, there's some good stuff going on, and
Mm-hmm.
and it's episode 3, which we will be doing soon.
yes. Well, we talked, we might be doing 2 and 3 together.
Yeah, we understand that you guys are out there binge watching because, unlike me, you don't have the self-control to not watch the show 3 times in 8 days. So, well, it hasn't been 8 days. It came out Friday last week.
Well, to
right?
be fair, I was still on 13 Reasons Why, and I had to finish it.
Oh yeah, I
And
hear a lot of
so
good things.
that's why I had a Saturday where I could watch a good amount of episodes, but I didn't want to start without my significant.
Yeah. Oh, he watches it too? Mm-hmm. I watch by myself, which is why I get so much watching done.
I know, and that's why I get no watching done, so.
But I guess that's it for this week. Anything else?
I feel like I had something else, but you know what? If I can remember it, I'll just bring it to housekeeping next week.
All right, you want to tie a bow on this bitch?
Let's tie a bow on this bitch.
Go ahead.
See you later, little buddy.
Peace.